Morning, Trainiacs. We've got a swim then a run day here. And the aqua sizers are pumping the tunes. Alright? Something that I'm trying to do a better job of these days is sifting through and communicating to you what I do that is meant for elite performance and what more applies to general triathletes that are looking to be maybe above average, but really just looking to be a better version of themselves, finish a race, feel strong, be confident when they get to the front of the race. But that doesn't mean that elite performance isn't fun. No, they're both fun. And we have some data from all of the half Ironman performances that happened over the course of 2018, and we're going to share with you what it takes to be in the top 5% of finishers out there. They're both good. Elites, general amateurs, back of the pack, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing triathlon and having fun. Let's have some fun with a swim and a run. Ooh, that was all right. Just a 50-minute swim. For the first time ever, I saw under 130 per 100-yard average on a swim. And then came out here and just ran around for a half an hour. Playing around with the schedule a lot these days because as I start training 15 hours on average every single week, it's hard to, I find, get everything in. So earmarking 3 hours in the morning for creative work where I can just be quiet and focus, then 3 hours for training, and then 3 hours for like the busy work, the phone calls, the emails, the just tidbits that come up. So far, so good. All right, now let's get into the average swim, bike, and run times for each age group to be elite age group or top 5%. Almost got hit over there. So, Trainiacs, as we've started diving into the, oh, my board is all squishy. As we've started diving into analyzing hundreds of thousands of finish times from half Ironmans, we start pulling out some information about what it takes to be above average or what it takes to be above average in the swim, the bike, the run. Well, a lot of this will help you as you start getting into the sport, but what if you're already into the sport and you want to excel? You want to be one of those athletes that is trying to get to Kona or a half Ironman World Championship. You want to make sure that no matter what race you go to, you are in that tip of the spear, the tippy top of the finish field so that you can potentially qualify for a World Championship or get onto the podium. What does that take? We have answers. So what we have here are graphs of the average finish times of the top 5%, the athletes with a DPI as rated on obstri.com, what their average total finish time is, what their average swim finish time is, what their average bike finish time is, and what their average run finish time is for each age group. Now you can go to obstri.com, this is a free service, and you can check out your finish times and where your DPI is. Basically, it's a measure of where you rank in relation to the field and athletes all around the world. And it accounts for things like if a swim was downstream and extremely fast, it'll kind of account for that so that it's not comparing somebody else's downstream super fast swim to all of our average swims that weren't downstream. So it's kind of leveling out the playing field. A higher number indicates that you are more competitive. Above 95 is roughly top 5% in the category. So let's look at the finish times. We're going to start with the overall finish times from female athletes that had a DPI of over 95. And what we see is that it starts out for females aged 18 to 24 around 5:17:59, but then it takes a massive chunk off, goes to 5:03 and then 5:01, then starts creeping back up. So what we see is that female athletes tend to need a little bit of time, more time in the saddle, I believe, to develop bike fitness, because what we saw with the fastest age group was that the youngest females were the fastest swimmers, but it took a while for them to build bike fitness. And what about with the men? Now, in that case, the difference isn't quite so severe. What we did see with the men is that the fastest men were the youngest men. But in this case, the fastest of the fast men, the average of the fast men, actually comes at males aged 25 to 29 with an average finish time of a 4:30:06. For myself, we're looking at a 4:35:24. So I'm like right in there in the average of the DPI over 95. And if you look on obstri.com, I think my DPI ranges between 94 and 99, depending on the race and the discipline. What about the average swim times for these elite athletes? Well, we're looking at somewhere around a 30:43 for females to start out, goes down to a 29:37, and then just gradually gets slower in actually fairly significant chunks, to the point that when you are in the 70 to 79 sort of age, you're looking at an over 48-minute swim. On the men's side, this is interesting because what we also saw that the fastest age group were the youngest athletes. But in this case, that's not the case. So what we're seeing is that the fastest overall age group for the swim are the youngest athletes. But when we start looking at the fast of the fast, that actually comes a little bit later. It takes a little bit longer to develop that peak level of speed in the water, to the point that the fastest is a 27:21 swim for the 25 to 29-year-old males. In my category, 28:25. That's a ways away. On the bike, so this is where we see the biggest chunk of difference. When I said that it takes a while for females to develop that bike fitness, elite females aged 18 to 24 have an average bike time that is 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 20 seconds, which is actually slower than the elite 50 to 54. So this is what I'm saying, that it takes a little while for younger female athletes to develop that leg strength in the bike. But when they do, it comes on fairly quickly, because the fastest average bike times of the elite females is in the 25 to 29 age category, going 2 hours, 42 minutes, 15 seconds, and it goes all the way up to 3:31, 3:38 for the older ladies out there. The men, same sort of thing. Takes a little while to develop that leg strength, and this is what I'm saying, that time in the saddle cures all bike woes. It starts with a 2:28:02 for the 18 to 24-year-old males, and then the fastest males are 25 to 29 with a 2:26:07, and in my age category, 35 to 39, 2:27:46. I did 2:18 in Puerto Rico. What? Don't ask me about the run after. And then with the run, we see that the fastest females come in at age 30 to 34 with a 1:38:05. Takes a few years to build that up, and then it gradually increases to the point that we're looking at a 2:39:305 half marathon. With the men, same sort of thing, but not nearly as significant. The 18 to 24-year-old men are 1 hour, 29 minutes, and then it gets faster and faster twice, so that the fastest runs are happening with the males aged 30 to 34 in 1:27:27, and in my case, 1:28:40. I am nowhere near elite in the run. No. So what do you take from this that might help your training? Well, you can start building your training around the timelines that we have sketched out here, that if you are looking to try to consistently get on the podium, you now know approximately what it takes to have your average finish time get into that podium spot and potentially qualify for a world championship. If you are looking at any of these and you're in a situation where I am, where you're like, all right, my swim is kind of close, my bike is actually better than that, but my run is not quite there, it gives you an indication of what you need to work on. In my case, I'm working a lot on my running technique. So this starts pinpointing where your weaknesses and limiters are that can help you get to that next level. Now, all of this I went through really quickly, just showing you the graphs. Now, if you go to triathlontaren.com/average triathlon times fast, all of these will be there, and you can take a look at your individual age group finish times for the swim, bike, and the run. So check that out. I hope that helps. And if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, because we try to dive into things like this and actually start pulling out from real data, not just always what's just going on in my head, my pontificating, what you need to work on based off of what the numbers say. Later, Trainiacs.